What's up, and good morning, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the JuiceBox podcast presented by the Lock City. Today, it's episode number 65, and it's Trey here with you again today, ready to break down this MLB slate. But before we get into that MLB slate, let's go ahead and give everyone a quick reminder of how they can become part of our great community here in Lock City. Lock City has a premium tier Discord that you can join for just $5 per month by going to wap.com/LockCity. This will get you access to every cheat sheet every day across all active major sports, access to premium picks from all 9 of our pro cappers, and tons of sports-specific and stat-specific data points on a daily basis to help you become a better sports bettor. That's wap.com/LockCity, getting you instant access for just 16 cents a day. Best investment you might make in your lifetime. Not even Warren Buffett has invested in us, and it might be the biggest mistake that he has ever made. All right, before we dive into today's slate, let's go ahead and check out what happened in the MLB yesterday. The Guardians lose to the Nationals in Game 1 of the doubleheader, 10-9 win there for the Nats. In the second game of the doubleheader, the Guardians get some payback with a 9-1 win, and Ben Lively picking up a win on that one. He has his second win on the year now with a 3.46 ERA. The Dodgers lose to the Marlins in extras. In the 10th, the Marlins are able to walk it off at home with a 5-4 win. The Rangers take care of business, taking down the Red Sox in Boston, 6-1 win here, and Nathan Eovaldi gets it done for the Rangers on the mound. He's now 3-2 with a 2.03 ERA. The Phillies beat the Rays 8-4 down in Florida. Lots of homers in this game. Ball was really flying out of the park. I think there were 4 different guys who homered in that one. Schwarber, Diaz, Castellanos, and Bohm. Bohm with his first one there on the year. Elsewhere in the Bronx, the Yankees take down the Padres 12-3 after blowing this game open in the 7th with a 10 spot. In Atlanta, the Reds lose to the Braves in a 1-run game. 2-1 win here for the Braves in extras. The Braves walk it off at home in the 10th. In Chicago, the Cubbies lose a tough one in 11 innings to the Giants. The Giants put up 9 in the 11th, and they go unanswered there to grab the win 14-5. The Royals beat the White Sox 4-3, close one there in Kansas City. Those pesky White Sox aren't very good, but they're just good enough to be trouble if you let them hang around. The Brewers grab a win at home. Chad Patrick now 2-3. They take a 4-3 win over the Astros. Wisniewski is 1-3 now on the year. Paul Skeens picks up his 4th loss on the year, despite only allowing a few hits and a few runs. The Pirates' offense was nowhere to be found, and they lose 2-1 to the Cardinals. The Angels take down the Blue Jays 8-3. This was also our game where we had our JuiceBox Lock of the day. We had the Blue Jays first 5 money line. Thought we were off to a great start because they put up a 2 spot right away, which was answered with 2 runs very quickly by the Angels. And it went all the way through the 5th, tied 2-2, so that we get our money back on that one and we get to go back at it again today. We'll be looking for something good here later in the pod. The Mets lose to the D-backs in Arizona 5-1. Zach Gallen picking up his 3rd win of the year, and he is starting to right the ship. Peterson drops to 2-2. The Mariners take down the Athletics 5-3. And the last game of the day was the Tigers and the Rockies, but they were postponed. So they'll be getting back at it today and ready to get on the field after a rainy day in Colorado. All right, we're going to start to look ahead at today's matchups. But before we do that, let me tell you a little bit about the research platform that I'm using in order to break it down. I use Daily Sheets. Daily Sheets is a little project that I'm proud to be a part of here with my buddy Brian from Lock City. Daily Sheets is a comprehensive research platform for major sports such as MLB, where you get access to top props, full game projections for every single player in the lineup, matchup history, current streaks. It's very, very comprehensive and detailed data that is easy to read, easy to use, perfect for finding those spots to hit and target as singles. Also great for putting together things like SGPs and parlays. So go ahead and check out Daily Sheets. You can go there by going to sheet.today/MLB, and you'll see exactly what I'm looking at here as we break down today's games. Today is one of those days where we get to watch baseball all day long. Starting at 12 o'clock, the Nationals are hosting the Guardians once again. The Guardians minus 135 favorites in this one, and the total is set at 9. Might be an interesting spot for a total. Both games yesterday soared well over that line of 9. Pitching matchup for this game, Michael Soroka is the announced pitcher for the Nationals. He is sporting a high ERA on the year, 7.2, and has somewhat limited matchup history here versus the Guardians lineup. Looks like he's made one start versus the majority of this lineup and has had some mixed success there, so I won't dwell on that. In terms of the streaks, there's lots of hot and active streaks here. Stephen Kwan for the Guardians on a 5-game hit streak. Schneemann went deep yesterday. Jose Ramirez had a hit in the last 2 games. Kyle Manzardo has scored in the last 2 games. Carlos Santana hit and total base covered in the last 2, and he's also scored in the last 3. For the Nationals on the other side, James Wood is on an absolute tear. He has a hit in the last 6, total bases in the last 6. Nathaniel Lowe hit and total bases covered in the last 4. Kybert Ruiz hit and total bases covered in the last 2. 1 o'clock start in Milwaukee. The Astros are in town and they are slight favorites here. Total in this game is set at 7.5, and the minus 135 Astros are looking to get a win here against the Brewers. Framber Valdez on the mound for the Astros, and Quinn Priester going for the Brewers. Framber Valdez has had a slightly better year than Priester, sporting a 4.39 ERA versus Priester's 5.79. Very limited matchup history here between these pitchers and lineups. Eric Haas is the only guy who's really seen Valdez a lot. He's 3 for 10, and that's not a whole lot to go off of. For current streaks, Christian Walker is on a 3-game hit streak for the Astros, and Jake Myers is on a 7-game hit and total base streak. For the Brewers, Isaac Collins is on a 3-game hit streak. William Contreras has scored in the last 2. Rhys Hoskins has been Mr. Consistent here in the middle of the lineup. Hits in the last 2, total bases, and RBIs also in the last 2. The Pirates continue their series in St. Louis versus the Cardinals. This is a 1:15 start, and the Cardinals are minus 175 favorites. The total in this one is set at 7.5. Mitch Keller's going for the Pirates and Sonny Gray for the Cardinals. Mitch Keller has been kind of Mr. Hot and Cold throughout the season so far. He's looked good in a few starts, and he's given up quite a few runs in others. This Cardinals lineup has seen him a lot over his career. We have guys in the teens and low 20s in terms of number of at-bats. Here's some notable matchup histories to take a look at. Lars Nootbaar is 333 with a homer. Jordan Walker, Thomas Saggesi, Victor Scott, also all 333 against the right-hander. Wilson Contreras, 318 with a homer. Alec Burleson, 267 with a homer. Brendan Donovan, 238, but has gone deep as well. Nolan Gorman, only 235, but he's taken him deep twice. Versus Sonny Gray, the Pirates lineup has seen him, a few of these guys have seen him a few times over. Brian Reynolds might be the most notable one here. 7 for 21, that's 333 with 3 home runs against the right-hander. We'll have to check out the weather report and see if it's looking like a good day for home runs. Brian Reynolds is one to circle on the card. He might be able to take Sonny Gray deep today. 2:20 start in Chicago. The Cubbies hosting the Giants. Again, they'll be looking for some payback. The total in this one is set at 7, and it looks like it's going to be a tough way to hit there in Chicago with the wind blowing in strongly. The Cubs are forecasted here as the favorite, minus 148 to the Giants, plus 124. On the mound, Robbie Ray going for the Giants and Ben Brown for the Cubbies. Both pitchers have been off to a kind of decent start, but I'd lean towards Robbie Ray here as being the better of the two on the mound. And this could be a spot to look to back the Giants as short favorites. Maybe first 5 favorites with Robbie Ray on the mound. He might be a guy who can really shut down this red-hot Cubs offense. He has seen a few of these guys before. Notable matchup history, Kyle Tucker's 4 for 10 with 2 homers. Justin Turner, 267 and 45 at-bats, and has gone deep twice in those 45. No matchup history there for Ben Brown, so we'll be looking to see what this Giants offense can do. For the Giants, guys who are on hit streaks, Jung-Hoo Lee, 2-game hit streak. Matt Chapman, 2-game hit and total base streak. He's also scored in his last 5. Wilmer Flores is on a 5-game hit and total base streak. He is red hot right now. On the other side for the Cubbies, Dansby Swanson is on a 8-game hit and total base streak. He's also scored in his last two. Nico Horner has hit in his last two. Pete Crow Armstrong has scored in his last two as well. 3:35 start in Sacramento. The Athletics are hosting the Mariners, and the Mariners are minus 155 favorites in this one with the total set at 9. On the mound is Brian Wu for the Mariners and Gunnar Hoagland for the Athletics. Gunnar Hoagland, this would be the first time seeing the Mariners, so no matchup history there, but this Athletics offense has seen Brian Wu before. Some notable names: Tyler Soderstrom, 3 for 10 with a homer. Jacob Wilson, 2 for 5. J.J. Bleday, 3 for 12. On the negative side, Lawrence Butler, only 1 for 13. Brent Rooker, 1 for 14, but that one was a homer. J.P. Crawford's been absolutely red hot. He's had a hit in his last 14 games. Jorge Polanco has scored in his last 2. And Miles Mastrobuoni, he has had a hit, covered his total bases, and knocked in a run in his last 2. Cal Raleigh has been a little bit quieter. He hasn't had a huge series here, but he did have a hit and an RBI last night. On the Athletics side, Brent Rooker's on a 2-game hit and total base streak. He's also scored in his last 2. Soderstrom has hits in his last 4. Langeliers, he is also on a nice little hit streak here in this series, hits in his last 2. Jacob Wilson has covered his hits and total bases in the last 4. And the first baseman, Nick Kurtz, he has scored a run in his last 3 games as well. 3:40 start in Arizona. The Mets are still at the D-backs here, and the Mets are small favorites here on the road, minus 125 with the total set at 9. Cody Senga is on the mound for the Mets, and Merrill Kelly going for the D-backs. Senga has faced the D-backs 2 or 3 times now, and he's shut down the majority of this offense with not a whole lot to mention. No home runs given up against any of these D-backs players, and he has only really given up 1 or 2 hits to any of the players that are here in the lineup. Jose Herrera, 1 for 2, and Alec Thomas, 2 for 7. Corbin Carroll, 2 for 9. Not a whole lot of offense going on there. On the other side, Merrill Kelly has also seen a few of these Mets before. Pete Alonso is the big one that's jumping off the board here to me. 5 for 16 with 3 homers off the right-hander. Active streaks going on for the Mets. Pete Alonso is on a 3-game RBI streak, and Mark Vientos is on a 5-game hit streak. Tyrone Taylor has scored in his last 3. For the D-backs, Corbin Carroll has had a hit and scored in his last 3. Josh Naylor has RBIs in his last 3. He also scored yesterday. And Eugenio Suarez is on a 2-game hit streak. The Dodgers are at the Marlins. They are looking to get a little payback today. They are minus 238 favorites, and the total is set at 9.5 for this 4:40 afternoon game. No Dodgers pitcher announced yet, but Valenti Beloso will be on the mound for the Marlins, and this is his first start versus the Dodgers lineup. So let's just go ahead and jump to the current streaks. Ohtani is on a 2-game home run streak, 4-game total base streak, and 2-game RBI streak. Freddie Freeman, he's on 2-game streak across the board. Hits, homers, total bases, RBIs, and runs. Maybe he likes it in Miami. Andy Pages is on a 3-game hit, 2-game total base, and 2-game run streak. And Hyun-Sung Kim also hits and total bases and runs in his last 2 games. For the Marlins, Kyle Stowers, they were able to shut him down yesterday, and then I think they walked him towards the end of the game, took an at-bat out of his hands. So he didn't have anything going on yesterday. Might be a spot to look at for someone who's been red hot lately. Jesus Sanchez is on a 2-game hit and total base streak. Connor Norby is on a 3-game hit and total base streak. He's also knocked in runs in those last 2. The Rangers are at the Red Sox to kick off the evening slate at 6:45. The Red Sox are minus 125 favorites in this one, and the total is set at 9.5. Tanner Houck on the mound for the Red Sox, and the Rangers have Tyler Mahle on the mound. And it's tough to figure out why exactly the Rangers aren't favored in this one, because Tyler Mahle has been absolutely awesome in his starts for the year. He's sporting a 1.19 ERA, and Tanner Houck has given up quite a few runs. He has a 6.3 ERA. And some guys who have really seen him and hit him hard before in this Ranger lineup. Jonah Heim is 4 for 7 with 3 home runs. Adolis Garcia, 4 for 8 with 2 home runs. Josh Smith and Wyatt Langford both hitting him 2 for 6. So that might be a spot to look at. Rangers first 5. I have to take a look at the board and see what that line is in just a bit. The Phillies are at the Rays. The Phillies are minus 125 favorites in this 7 o'clock game, and the total is set at 8.5 runs. Chris Sanchez on the mound for the Phillies versus Shane Baz, and this should be a good pitcher's duel despite the way that this park has played, giving up a lot of runs. Both these pitchers are off to a great start. Chris Sanchez being a good strikeout guy, and Shane Baz just getting it done, not allowing a whole lot of traffic on the bases throughout this year so far. Not a whole lot of notable matchups here, but Nick Castellanos is 1 for 2 with a homer off Shane Baz, so he is someone who has seen him before. In terms of some active streaks, Trey Turner's riding the 5-game hit streak. Bryce Harper, Kyle Schwarber, both on 2-game hit and total base streaks. Schwarber has also homered in the last 2 games. Castellanos is on a 3-game hit streak and a 2-game total base streak. He homered yesterday as well. Alec Boehm on a 3-game hit streak, 2-game total base streak, and Brandon Marsh doing it quietly at the bottom, 2-game hit and total base streak as well. For the Rays, Chandler Simpson has knocked in runs in his last 2. Yandy Diaz is on a 2-game hit and total base streak. Jonathan Aranda on a 2-game hit total base streak. He's also scored in the last 2 games. So it'll be interesting to see what offense can get it going here in that one with the good pitching on the mound. The Yankees host the Padres again tonight. The Yankees are minus 180 favorites in the Bronx. Total in this one set at 8. Dylan Cease on the mound for the Padres, and Max Fried, their ace, going for the Yankees. Tough to look any other way. I think the way that the season's gone for both of these pitchers, than to back the Yankees. Fried is sporting a 1 ERA at this point in the season. That's really, really good. Less than 1 walks or hits per inning pitched, and he has just really been in command when he's out there. He's seen some of these Padres batters before, and some of them have gotten hits, but they've all been just cheap hits. Nobody's taking him deep. No one's doing crazy damage. He's kind of that pitcher. Okay, you want to take a single off me? That's fine. I'm not going to let you do too much damage. On the other side, against Dylan Cease, Goldschmidt is hitting 3 for 5. Aaron Judge 4 for 10 with a homer. And that is some interesting and notable history there. For the Braves and the Reds, the Braves are going to be minus 122 favorites, and the total in this one is set at 7.5. This is a 7:15 start in Atlanta. On the mound for the Reds, Hunter Green, and going for the Braves, Grant Holmes. Hunter Green sporting a 2.53 ERA, K per 9 of 11.6, and he'll be looking to shut down this Braves lineup as he goes through today. On the other side, Grant Holmes is sporting a 4.24 ERA, and he's looking to try to provide the Braves just enough to keep them in the game in this one. Active streaks going on in this one. Santiago Espinal is on a 7-game hit and total base streak for the Reds. Nobody else is on a major streak there. For the Braves, on the other side, Alex Verdugo has scored in his last 3. Austin Riley has a hit and total base coverage in his last 5. Matt Olson and Ozzie Albies both covering their hits and total bases in the last 2. And Eli White, 4-game hit and total base streak as well. The Orioles are at the Twins, 7:40 start in Minnesota. The Twins are minus 130 favorites, and the total in this one is set at 9.5. Charlie Morton's going on the mound for the Orioles, and Simeon Woods Richardson for the Twins. And man, oh man, what else is there to say other than if you like free money, probably bet against the Orioles in this one. Charlie Morton just hasn't had it. And I know he's trying to be a veteran and be a leader, take some innings here away from the bullpen, but he just hasn't had it. And you might have to put some money on that one. Jackson Holliday's on a 6-game hit and total base streak for the O's. Brian Buxton on a 6-game hit streak, 5-game total base streak for the Twins. Ryan Jeffers also on a 4-game hit and total base streak. The White Sox are at the Royals, 7:40 start in Kansas City. The Royals big favorites minus 225, and the total in this one is 8.5. Jonathan Cannon on the mound for the White Sox, and Michael Wacha going for the Royals. Michael Wacha has seen the White Sox before, and the only guy who's really done big damage against him is Andrew Vaughn, who's taken him deep in 21 at-bats, hitting just 238. On the other side, Bobby Witt is 3 for 7 versus Jonathan Cannon. Michael Massey 2 for 6 with a homer versus the right-hander. The Tigers are at the Rockies. This is an 8:40 start, and the total in this one is set at 10. The Tigers are minus 185 favorites in this one. On the mound, Jackson Jobe going for the Tigers, to be announced for the Rockies. Job hasn't seen this Rockies lineup before, but the Rockies lineup really isn't all that great and will be a good spot, hopefully, for him to get the job done for his Tigers. Coming into this game, Torque is on a 2-game hit and 4-game run streak. Javier Baez is on a 7-game hit and total base streak and has scored in his last 4. Trey Sweeney is on a 5-game hit streak as well. Jordan Beck continues to deliver hits for this Rockies at the top of the lineup here in the 2 spot. He's on a 4-game hit streak. Ryan McMahon starting to get it together, 2-game hit and total base streak. He's also knocked in runs in the last 2. Hunter Goodman on a 7-game hit streak there in the 4 spot for the Rockies. Last game of the night in LA, the Angels are hosting the Blue Jays yet again. Blue Jays minus 125 favorites in this one. Total is at 8.5. Jose Barrios going against Yusei Kikuchi, and this is Kikuchi seeing his former team. And it'll be interesting to see what he can do against his former team in this one. Anthony Santander has seen a lot of Kikuchi when he was in the East. He's 5 for 19 with a homer. George Springer, 7 for 16 lifetime off the left-hander. For Barrios, he's also seen this Angels lineup a few times. Luis Rengifo is 5 for 7 with a homer. Yohan Moncada has a 308 average with 3 home runs against him. And Jorge Soler, 261 with 1 homer off the right-hander. That's your MLB slate for Wednesday, May 7th. Now we turn to the best part of the pod where we take a look at our best bet, our JuiceBox Lock of the day. And I hate to do it to you, Birdland, but I think I'm finally going to do it. Man, I really hate to do it. But we're going to have to go against and fade Charlie Morton here versus the Twins. He just hasn't had it all year. He's been giving up nothing but big runs and just struggling to pitch through as he works on his command, whether it's been in the spots out of the pen or in his starting spots. So here's your juice box lock of the day. We're going to go ahead and take the Twins money line on the first 5 innings. Minus 110 looks to be the best available line there. Go ahead and grab that while you can. I imagine that's going to move quick throughout the day. If you want a little extra juice, do a little SGP and also take the Twins over 2.5 runs for the first 5. That should come in somewhere around 225, 230, and might even be a better bet because I imagine they're going to put some runs up on the board off of old man Morton today. Sad Orioles fan, Trey, signing off. Thanks for hanging out here on the JuiceBox Pod. But let's go win some money. We can be sad and green at the same time. Have a great one. Peace.